Welcome back, everybody. My name is Pastor Dirk Willner, and we're having a look at this journal, The Life of Jesus. We're in chapter 7. So if you'd like to have a look at chapter 7, you'll see that it's the last commandment. Isn't it interesting? What do you think about the 10 commandments? Is it the last one of those 10? No. We're talking about Jesus' last commandment when he was saying to everybody, "This is my commandment, that you love one another." We'll know that one, I think. But did you know it actually goes on? No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. It actually goes on from there. So love one another is actually a very, something that you do for another person. When you look at the top of our page where we're having a bit of a read, if you knew that tonight was the last night, what would you do? Wow, that's an interesting question when you start to think, there's no more tomorrow. This is the last night. What would you do? This is my commandment, that you love one another so that you lay your life down for somebody else. Now, I know that Jesus is not talking about us having to do the same thing as he did in terms of, sacrificing ourselves. But what does it mean to lay your life down for someone else because of love? This is probably the tool or the symbol that reminds us about service to one another. Have a look at the page here, and as you read through, you see that Jesus went and washed his disciples' feet on Maundy Thursday. Maundy, the word Maundy, is actually from a Latin meaning command, and it refers to this command, that you love one another. And so on Maundy Thursday, when he got his friends together for this wonderful meal that we have as the Passover meal, and they were enjoying it, and they started to come through the front door, rather than welcoming them in, saying, come on in, here's something for you to nibble on while the others are waiting. He washed their feet. And keep in mind, back in those days, there were camels and donkeys and horses around on the road. They all had their droppings everywhere. There was no road to speak of. It was dirt and dusty. If it rained, it all became slush. Everyone else who had their washing done, they threw it out on the road. Sometimes all the other stuff was out on the road as well. So by the time that you walked on all of this muck, your feet were pretty dirty, smelly. It's like, yuck. And here he comes and says, let me wash your feet. Let me wash that muck off you. Do you like washing toilets? Oh, I don't know. Has your mum and dad ever sort of said, come and help around with the house? Can you do something about drying the dishes? Or can you put the dishes away? Can you take the garbage out? Isn't it interesting that when we go over to the page, you see some of the role playing. And in the role playing, here's an interesting question. A friend who volunteers at church tells you privately she's tired of people who take advantage of her kindness and never thank her in return. Isn't it interesting that we often want to have something as, I've done this, so I should be thanked for it, or I should have at least people sort of acknowledging, well done. But how about this idea of servants? Well, servants and slaves were never thanked for anything. The command performance in regards to the top of the page, no one likes to do the stuff that someone else tells you to do. Not even parents, like their own parents telling them what to do. And here Jesus is not saying, this is what I want you to do, go and do this. But there's something about our life of service, that we consider the other person in their need. That there is something about our radar, the way that we look at life, and we start to see, there is a need. I can do something. I can help. I can be of service to somebody else. So as you're looking through all of this, consider the bottom questions as well. The question to ponder. I like this one here, number 2. What are 5 ways around your house that you could help? 5 ways of stuff that you hate doing. Who usually gets stuck with doing it all? This week, would you dare to divide them up in your family to see who's going to do which job? How about you volunteer? Do you know one of the interesting things about when you've been asked to do something, so often we do it and then we expect someone, mum, dad, say, thank you very much for doing that. But what about the idea of saying, and what else can I do for you? So that you actually take it always a step further. What else can I do for you? Love in action. That's an interesting thought when we start to think, is love just a warm fuzzy word, or does it mean something in real life? Love in action. What can I do for you? Here Jesus is always talking about, what can I do for you? What can I be part of in your life that you need me to help you become a better person? So when you think about Jesus washing his disciples' feet, it's like, I know that there's stuff in your life that I want to get rid of so that you can become a better person. And by the way, who would want to have someone coming into your house with all the muck on your feet? So there's this invitation, as we fellowship with one another, we want to be in a good place with one another. So before you actually enjoy one another's company, you've got to get rid of the other stuff. So work before pleasure kind of stuff. First you get rid of the stuff that doesn't, help you enjoy one another's company. As you sort all of that out, you can be there fully for one another. That's an interesting thing about love, to be fully there for one another, to listen, to hear, to care, all of those kind of things sometimes means that you've got to be there for the person without all the distractions about what else needs to be done. So you do all of those things so you can be there for one another. When you're talking about the Faith 5, that's part and parcel of, first of all, getting rid of the muck. When you say, hey, here are my highs, everyone loves to sort of enjoy the highs, but here are my lows. This is the stuff I'm working with. This is the stuff that's getting to me. This is the stuff I'm carrying. When we pray for one another, it's like washing each other's feet. It's like being a servant there and saying, how can I help you? How can I care for you? How can I be part of your life to make it better? So praying and then blessing one another is just like what Jesus did for his disciples, to do something special that says, I'm here for you. So as you go through the week with the devotional part, spend some time inviting Jesus to come into your life with your needs, and allow Jesus to speak into your life to get you to think about other people's needs and where you can help, so that there's this constant flowing between Jesus helping me helping you, you helping somebody else, and there's this wonderful way in which love becomes real, becomes part of our everyday life, and not just a thought. Because so often we just think about, oh, well, look, it's nice to say these things, nice to talk about them, but what about doing them? How did your parents go with the quiz when you asked them last time? Who knows? Do you want to tell me about it? Send me a message back. And one of the interesting things is that you can also keep informing me through emails about some of the questions that you have. So as you're going through these quizzes, you might have some questions from past ones or this one that you might like to ask me about some more advice. So don't be afraid to also send me an email, and you've got that at the end of our clip. Here's a last little quote that I'd like to share with you. From Mother Teresa, it's on this page here with our quiz. Many people mistake our work for our vocation. Our vocation is the love of Jesus. What's a vocation? A vocation is like a job, a calling towards something very special. Ambulance drivers, pastors, teachers, doctors, all of these things are vocation, a calling towards something special that you do for other people. So many people mistake our work, so the stuff we do, as the vocation. But Mother Teresa turns it around. She says our vocation, our work, is the love of Jesus, sharing the love of Jesus with one another. So Jesus reminds us, what you've done to the least of these, you've done it for me. Isn't it interesting that the connection there again is the stuff that we do matters.